Hello, and welcome to On the Horizon. I just want to make sure that that y'all can see me. If someone can enter in the chat, are we good to go? We broadcasting? Okay, great. I'm dealing with, you'd think I'd have this figured out by now, but I'm dealing with some technical difficulties, so pardon me as we get started. But I'm so happy that y'all are on today. Welcome to On the Horizon. I am your host, Sarah Kramer, along with my co-host, Tiffany Dunn. Today, we're going to be talking with our destination specialist, Nicole Porto. You may recognize Nicole's name because she joined us for our first Egypt presentation for the first webinar. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, please go and listen to that on our YouTube channel. She has a lot of information. Egypt is open for travel right now. We are actually planning trips for a group to go in the coming month. So be on the lookout and do your research and call us if you have any information about that, because there are destinations that are open. But today we want to talk about Abu Dhabi and Dubai, just because we feel like this is a great area that many people either just pass through when they're going on to another destination, and they don't really spend much time there, but there is so much to offer there. So we really wanted to highlight those places and just talk a little bit more about that. If you have questions, please feel free to type them in at the end, and we'll get to those once we're done with our presentation. So here we go. Hello, Nicole. How are you doing today? Is Nicole on?
Yeah. Did you ask? I'm sorry. I think maybe the audio is off for me. Did you ask me a question?
Yeah, that's okay. That's what I was saying. We were having technical difficulties, and I knew this would happen, so it's not a big deal. Hi, so welcome on. Speak to us a little bit about the Middle East and why you're just so drawn to this area and these two cities in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved the Middle East for pretty much the first time I stepped foot in. I think Egypt was my first encounter with that part of the world, but I mean, Dubai and Abu Dhabi are just so special, and I've been there many times actually, and it just keeps.
Oh my gosh, we're having some technical difficulties with Nicole's audio. Nicole, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so before we get started and really diving into Abu Dhabi, speak a little bit about this area in particular and how it came to
be. So it started off really with the pearl trade, and that's kind of its history until cultured pearls started being manufactured, and then they found oil. Kind of the rest is history, but they gained independence from Great Britain in like 1971. So it's really a new country. But yeah, a lot of its success has been oil, of course.
And it's located its land borders are Oman and Saudi Arabia, and it's located right on the Persian Gulf. So here's a zoomed out image of it, so you can see where it is in relationship to everywhere else. But once you really get in to the UAE, speak a little bit about Dubai and Abu Dhabi and how far apart they are and how you travel in between the two of them.
So the Abu Dhabi and Dubai are like an hour and a half apart. So you can definitely do it by road, but also I love doing it by seaplane. You actually will like fly over the coast and you can see like the palms and the different islands that are off the coast. So I think that's a pretty neat, unique way to do it and much quicker.
Yeah, I definitely think seeing the palms, I have not done the seaplane transfer, but I was lucky enough once when flying Emirates to like fly directly over the Palm Island, and it's amazing what it looks like from the sky. It's so cool.
Well, and I think too, like you get this image of Dubai in your head and you think about like the palm and like the man-made islands and stuff, and you just don't really get that whole visual unless you look at it from above, you know? And so, yeah, that's definitely one thing Ker Downey offers, I know. But like you said, there's an hour and a half, you know, road transfer in between too that you could do as well. Okay, so today in particular, we're talking mostly about Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and there's other places that we're going to touch on too as we go along. So speak to us a little bit about, I mean, I think people can maybe think that Dubai and Abu Dhabi are very similar because they're close in nature, they're within the same region, but they actually are quite different. So speak to us a little bit about what makes them so different and how they complement each other as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dubai is definitely the more glitzy, I won't say exciting. I mean, Abu Dhabi is also exciting, but Dubai is definitely more kind of got a little bit of a party scene. It's a lot more bustling. Abu Dhabi, I feel like, is a quieter, a little sleepier. I mean, they're both so great, like to contrast to each other, because Dubai is just like everything is bigger and better, and then Abu Dhabi is just really, really lovely and quieter, I guess.
Yeah, you know, I think I was drawn to this area because my background actually isn't.
My internet is like going so badly.
Uh-oh, that's okay. My background is in architecture, and so I was really drawn to Dubai because we at the architecture firm that I work for.
Mine's going in and out, I think.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. Can you move locations? Sorry, y'all. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so I was really drawn to Dubai just because of the architecture, and we did a couple of buildings there. And so I really wanted to see the super tall skyscrapers and how it contrasted with, you know, the traditional, the buildings that were more traditional in nature, and then contrasted with the super modern buildings. And so that's what really drew me to Dubai in general. So
yeah.
When do you think is the best time to travel there? I mean, we hear that it's a year-round destination, but it can get quite hot. I mean, I guess if you go to it for the beach and you're in the water the whole time. So speak to us a little bit about the weather and when you would recommend traveling there.
Yeah, so you're right. In the middle of the summer, it's really hot, but so I would recommend between November and March, just to get like really good weather. I mean, if you are just going for the beach, of course, it pretty much, I mean, it doesn't matter when you go, but it doesn't really get any colder than like in the 50s in the winter. So it definitely is a year-round destination. The only times I would really avoid are like April, May, when during Ramadan. I mean, you don't have to avoid it completely, just you need to make some special considerations for how the city is operating during Ramadan, because some of the things close.
Yeah, how typically does the city operate during Ramadan?
So I was there, and I mean, it's just like the restaurants are closed during the day. You can't really, I mean, you can go to certain restaurants. Some of the hotel restaurants are open still. You just aren't going to be able to like drink water out in public or smoke a cigarette, stuff like that. But it's pretty much just during the day hours. At night, everything's normal.
Right. Okay. So I think we can be a little bit intimidated in terms of packing to this area of the world. Do we need to have full head coverings? What needs to cover? What we need to cover, things like that. So speak to us a little bit about what you would recommend in terms of packing, and do you need to cover your head, you know, the whole time you're there, and what length shirts and skirts and things like that. All those questions that kind of pop into our mind when we think that, you know, as a person from the United States traveling to the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really as conservative as the rest of the Middle East, so you can definitely get away with most of your normal clothes. I wouldn't be very revealing, obviously, but if you're wearing long pants, you do need to cover up when you're in a mosque. So I would definitely bring like a scarf to put over your hair in a mosque, and long sleeve top, and then nothing too revealing. But otherwise, you don't have to cover yourself during like when you're out during the day or anything. So other than just having a scarf on hand, I think you don't really have to do anything special.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. So like just when you go into the mosques and stuff, maybe have a scarf like that you could wrap your head with. Is that typically what the lesson is? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to move on to talk about COVID a little bit. And just so y'all know, Abu Dhabi actually isn't open right now, but Dubai is. So we're going to talk a little bit about the entry and exit requirements going into Abu Dhabi and Dubai. But really, the reason why we want to talk about both is because you can plan for now, and then you can plan for later too. So Nicole, speak to us a little bit about the requirements as far as COVID is concerned to get into, let's say, Dubai right now.
Okay, so Dubai, you just have to have a negative PCR test 72 hours prior to your arrival there. Abu Dhabi has a mandatory quarantine, so like right now it's not really feasible for Americans to travel there. But for Dubai, it's just the negative COVID test, which is pretty much the same as almost any other country these days. And then if you're transiting through there, you don't have to have any test. So it's pretty straightforward, actually.
Right. Yeah. And Nicole, as you mentioned, with so many countries requiring it, you most likely will need it in transit, just simply because wherever you're going will most likely require it. So that is definitely a very present part of travel for us right now. But I know that there are a lot of arrangements for making it very easy to get tested, while you're there.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely arrange for clients to get a test while they're traveling. Anything from the person coming to their hotel room to administer the test to taking them to a clinic to get it. So we want to make that as easy as possible and not impact any of your actual touring.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tiffany, when you went to Rwanda and Kenya, did you travel through there, or where did you travel through?
No, we traveled through Frankfurt on our most recent trip, but I have had the pleasure of traveling through Dubai several times and making some stopovers on the way. So most recently was on the way to Sri Lanka. So
I would say Dubai. I've taken Emirates, but Dubai has been the easiest transition, and the airport's so great. It's just a really great, place to do a layover. So I've heard airlines like Emirates and Etihad and even Qatar in that region are just doing things to really ensure the safety of their overall travelers. We touched on it a little bit, but can you just touch on it briefly? They really are at the top of their game in terms of making sure travelers feel safe and secure as they're traveling. So can you just give us a little bit of information about what they're doing?
Yeah, they are. Obviously the staff is getting tested regularly. All of the sanitization procedures, prior to flight, taking all of the precautions. Plus, a lot of the airlines are including COVID testing or insurance that covers you should you get COVID while you're traveling or prior to travel.
Yeah, and they do. I know Emirates was the very first one to come out with the insurance coverage included in the tickets, which is great because it does cover flights, of course. But if that's associated with the land package, just a reminder that insurance is important for your whole trip. So, but it's great that they insure that part of your trip for you, and it does cover, if you had to have any sort of medical coverage due to testing positive for COVID. And a lot of other coverage as well to give you, some peace of mind about booking trips in this current climate.
Right. We had someone, and we'll talk about this later, but we had Nikki, who was on our Rwanda presentation, travel just to South Africa a couple weeks ago or a week ago. And she traveled through this area of the world, and she said it was amazing and no delayed flights, and everything was just so super smooth. Whereas she had some other travelers who did get delayed in the European connections. So it just speaks to the level of professionalism and service that this, many of these airlines operate out of in this area of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to some of the more fun stuff to talk about, the experiences. So I think, the Middle East, I said this, I feel like I say this all the time, there's something for everyone, but this area of the world really has catered to everybody, from someone who loves sports to someone who, like the indoor skiing thing that they have in Dubai, and the desert experiences. They have so many experiences. So speak to us a little about some of the experiences we offer and would recommend to our clients.
So yeah, some of the basic things that if you were just there for a day, you might want to do Old Dubai, walking through the Bastakia quarter, maybe having lunch at there's a lunch you can do and learn about Emirati culture. And then some of the, then you might want to see New Dubai and take the, go out to the Palm and see that up close. Of course, there's amazingly beautiful mosques. In Abu Dhabi, there's a whole bunch of different theme parks, Ferrari World, that's great for kids. As Sarah mentioned, indoor skiing and a penguin encounter that's pretty neat. Of course, culinary walking tours. Everybody wants to go see the top of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. There's a lot of really neat things you can do there, like have cocktails in the clouds, breakfast in the clouds. So that's a neat way to start your day or finish your day. And then there's the new-ish Louvre Museum in Abu Dhabi that's absolutely beautiful. So you can do that. Kayaking in the mangroves, pearls, pearl diving, not exactly diving for pearls, but seeing how they do it. So there really is something for everything. And then the last time I was there, I did a rib boat, which is those big inflatable speed boats, and they take you all along the coast. So you can see all of these amazing hotels going up and see the Burj Al Arab from the water. So that was really fun. And of course, the desert experience you have to do, even if you just go out in the evening, I would prefer to spend the night out there because the hotels are so beautiful, but you can do it as an evening activity as well.
Yeah, and I love the desert excursion. I think is super fun, and it's just fun to see if you do go into Dubai and then you drive out and you realize how these cities have just emerged in the middle of the desert. But it's great because no matter how much time you do have there, I know Sarah and I we went to Dubai together for on our first visit, and we only had one night, so we did a desert excursion just for the evening, dinner, dune bashing. That was super fun. And then on the last time I was there, I got to actually go out and see one of the desert resorts and stay at Al Maha, and that was just a totally different experience, getting to actually experience the desert activities in a bit more depth than what you can do on just an evening excursion.
Yeah, the properties out there, so Tiffany got to stay at Al Maha. I've done the Ritz-Carlton, which is in Ras Al Khaimah, another one of the Emirates. And then there's also the amazing Anantara Qasr Al Sarab, which is in Abu Dhabi, in the Liwa Desert. All
That's
of them,
this, right? This is
that's this picture. So all of them offer falconry, camel rides, archery, desert hikes, all kinds of neat stuff. And then they also have great spas. So after a day doing all that, it's pretty nice to have a little spa day as well.
Yeah, I would definitely echo if you don't have enough time to just do one little experience. But really, that's why I think we wanted to showcase this region, is because, it is worth adding on a couple more nights to your itinerary to go out into the desert and do an experience like this. Because it really just adds so much more, and you get to see just the culture of the area a little bit better. So speak a little bit more about some of the properties that you love. I know this one's in Dubai, but what are some other properties that you would recommend?
So yeah, there's so many hotels in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and all of the Emirates. In Dubai, I mean, you kind of have to decide, like, do you want a city hotel or a beach hotel? There's amazing ones for any of them. I mean, the address downtown is one of my favorites. It's a big high-rise that's on the other side of the Dubai fountain from the Burj Khalifa. So from the address, you actually get these incredible views of the Burj Khalifa at night that is just spectacular. Of course, the Armani Hotel is in the Burj Khalifa, so that's also really neat. And then like the beach hotels cannot be beat. I mean, the one and only Royal Mirage, one and only Palm, Mandarin Oriental, they're all spectacular, and it's pretty hard to decide. But I mean, there is one that fits, I think, every person.
Yeah, I think that's the, the benefit of using someone that has been there several times and knows knows the area, and then has incredible ground partners, is that like you really get to the taste of every person and find the perfect spot, because there's just so many options to choose from.
Yeah.
Okay, so speak a little bit too. So we spoke a little bit about Dubai and Abu Dhabi, but there are other Emirates that that one could go to when they're here in this part of the world. Speak a little bit about those other Emirates, and specifically this hotel. If you're on our travel trivia, the answer is right here, because this is what is the property that I showcased on our social accounts. So speak a little bit about this.
Yeah, I will. So this one is in Sharjah, which is about 30 minutes from Dubai. So you can actually even stay here instead of Dubai if you want something a little quieter. And Sharjah as an emirate is just a lot more about the cultural heritage of the area. So it's a lot quieter than Dubai, of course. And then you can go into the city for all the other activities. But this hotel is the Chedi Al Bayt in Sharjah. And Tiffany actually got to stay here, lucky enough, her last trip, I think. So she can probably talk to you a little bit more about what the experience was like there.
Yeah, it's definitely a totally different experience than like the big hotels in Dubai, because it's a historic building and a historic home that's been turned into this hotel. So it's a really unique, insight into the really what it was like for local, Emirati people in past years, before the cities became what they are now. So I really enjoyed seeing this totally other side of the UAE.
And this one's a dry emirate, so there's no alcohol. But I know you said in your presentation a while back that you didn't even miss it, because like you did a menu or something.
It is a dry emirate, so there's no alcohol sold there, no alcohol served at the restaurant, but or the restaurant at the property. But it's amazing because they have like this incredible food and beverage service, and it's really focused on healthy living and just like relaxing and rejuvenating like your body, and we love the food and drinks were absolutely amazing here. It was so good. So definitely a great recommendation. This was a recommendation by Nicole, so thank you.
You're welcome. So Sharjah is a good one to combine with Dubai, and then also, I mean, Dubai and Abu Dhabi is always a great combination. There's also a property that we love it's in Oman, but you actually access it from Dubai, called Ziggy Bay. I know we've got a slide of that here in a second. But yeah, it's a pretty quick drive, like 2-hour drive from Dubai to Ziggy Bay. And it's on this peninsula, and it is just one of the most stunning hotels. And you can actually, when you go there, you can have an option to like paraglide into the hotel. So they'll pick you up, drive you almost all the way there, and then you go to the hill and like get all started, and you can like paraglide into the hotel. So it's pretty neat. And then once you're there, I mean, I wouldn't plan any activities because they've just got so much to do there. Hiking and different water activities, a spa, of course, the little swimming pools in the rooms. So that one's a really awesome one to combine with like a stay in Dubai City and then go out to Ziggy Bay for your beach.
If you were in Dubai, would you drive there? How do you get there?
Yeah, it's 2-hour drive from Dubai. So it's actually, even though it's Oman, it's accessed from Dubai.
That's amazing. Ziggy Bay has been on my bucket list for I don't know how many years. I really want to go there. Okay, so in terms of like length of stay, so like let's say you were just doing a layover and you really wanted to see the areas, but maybe not spend a full, do a full itinerary there. Maybe it's Abu Dhabi or Dubai, or maybe you want to do both of them as sort of a layover itinerary. What would you recommend in terms of like how many days would you give each place?
I mean, I think if you're passing through, I think you should stay a minimum of 3 nights so that you can do 1 day in Dubai and 1 in Abu Dhabi. But to give both of them like the time that they're due, I would say probably 3 nights, 2 or 3 nights in each. Mm-hmm. So like, I mean, a 5-night itinerary would be great to do Dubai and Abu Dhabi and have some time to be out in the desert, do the beach and the city. And then, so this slide, this is one of our sample itineraries, Sands of Arabia, that hits Dubai and Abu Dhabi, also Oman and Doha in Qatar. So this one's really great because it kind of sort of incorporates all of the Arabian Peninsula and is just like stays at some of the most incredible hotels in the world and is just a really neat way to experience the whole region.
Yeah, and what I liked about, and the reason why I included this is because what I liked about this, and I'll ask you this too, is that you see in Dubai, if you're looking at this itinerary, you see that it has 2 different places. So, and Abu Dhabi is the same way, and speak to us a little bit about like why it's important maybe to see the city and then also the beach, or how would you choose between the 2 if you just wanted to stay in one property in Dubai?
I mean, I think a lot of people don't really want, like some people want to go specifically for the beach, which is great. So if that's your goal, then I think staying at a beach property and then taking a day or half a day to go into the city and see, the fountain, the Burj Khalifa and all that. Otherwise, like just staying in the city is great because then you're there in the middle of all of it. And then if you wanted to add a day to the beach, I mean, there's beautiful beaches all around Dubai. And the same with Abu Dhabi. I mean, there's some amazing beach hotels in Abu Dhabi, and then there's some in the city. They have some really unique ones. Anantara has one in Abu Dhabi that's in the mangrove, like kind of backs up to the mangroves, which is pretty unique. And then Abu Dhabi has one that's on like a little private island and you take a boat to it. And it's really neat. It's got like these overwater like villas. So it's pretty exclusive and has like that I don't know, that kind of Indian Ocean feel to it. But I mean, I think it's important to combine at least 2 elements when you're in the Emirates, like desert and city, or city and beach, city and desert, whatever, because you want to get like the full experience. I think the desert is important for any trip, just to like really get a sense of the place, and then all the fun stuff in the city, of course.
I know, and as I'm looking at this itinerary, I'm like, man, you could add Oman to this, and then you could, it's like so many things you can add onto this itinerary or change it to like make it right for you. It just, that would be an amazing itinerary. Okay, so we spoke about earlier how this sort of region is the gateway to pretty much anywhere in the world. I mean, there's probably not one place in the world you can't get to by going through this area. You might not want to go to South America, like through this area, but it's the gateway to everything, around it and past it. Speak to us about, I know Tiffany mentioned she went to Sri Lanka and she did a stay in Dubai too, but speak to us a little bit about your favorite places as sort of where you'd like to go to combine this area, like if you wanted to do a long layover with another country.
I mean, I think that Dubai and Abu Dhabi really blend well with anything in Africa. East Africa is fantastic, Southern Africa, and then of course any of the Middle East. I mean, if you're doing Egypt or Jordan or and then like Sri Lanka, Maldives is great. The Maldives is such a neat combination to do like Dubai, like the city and desert, and then head to the Maldives for your beach. The Dubai and Sri Lanka, which is really neat. And it's so easy. Like the flights aren't even that long to get to most of these places once you get to Dubai.
Yeah, our flight to Sri Lanka from Dubai was like a little over 4 hours. It was super easy. So we got into Dubai, got to experience a lot of fun things, get some good rest and feel refreshed. And then, you know, once we made it to Sri Lanka, it was a super easy leg getting there.
Well, and some of the best restaurants in the world are in Dubai. And so I did a honeymoon itinerary several years ago where they did Dubai and then they went into the Maldives, but they could get into Dubai. They had this beautiful, you know, private dinner set up for them. And it just really sort of set the stage for the rest of the itinerary. And same with including it on the end too, you know, it really just, it's like a vacation from a vacation. When you sort of end the itinerary with a couple nights here or Abu Dhabi or Oman or something like that.
To like end at one of the resorts in either emirate that has like a really amazing spa, and just I feel like I've talked about spas this whole time, but I love them.
Well, and I think we've talked about Dubai and Abu Dhabi as stopover cities, and I think that that's so often people's first introduction to the UAE is, you know, on their way to Africa or on their way to somewhere else in Asia, or, you know, and that tends to be people's introduction to this area. And what so often I find happens is our clients who, you know, might go and spend 3 nights there, then on their next trip are like, okay, how can I stop through Dubai again? Or how can I stop through Abu Dhabi again? You know, I think you start to recognize really how much there is to see and do in the UAE, and just all the cool experiences that Ker Downey can offer in the region as well. So it's an exciting place to keep going back to, or to, you know, like you said, plan a longer trip after you've had, you know, that 2 or 3 night taste on a layover somewhere.
Yeah. And I think it's such a great place for families. I mean, especially like teenagers, because there's so much to do, like so many exciting adventure activities, sandboarding and zip line and all kinds of crazy stuff. I've done like a lot of spring break, whole families going for like a week, 10 days, and there's just like no end of stuff to do there.
It does make a great, I mean, I know we're right up on spring break, but just for future planning, it does make a good spring break option because there's several direct flights from the United States. And obviously, and it just, you know, once you're there, you can sort of hit the ground running. There's no long transfers or anything like that that would need other days. So it is a great itinerary to consider for your family, or even as a generational travel with grandparents, and parents and children, that you should consider, you know, if you have wanted to take a longer spring break trip.
Yeah.
So is there anything else to add? While we have you on, I want to talk a little bit about what countries are open in the Middle East right now. There's a lot of stuff out there that basically says, you know, you can't travel or it's limited travel. But we know that not to be true because we've three people within Ker Downey have traveled internationally within the last 2 months. So, but I do want to know, speaking in terms of the Middle East, tell us what's open right now, and then what you see maybe toward the end of the year that might start to be open.
Yeah, so right now, I mean, unfortunately, not a lot is open, but Egypt and Jordan are. And and they've been open for quite a while, and it's all pretty smooth. I think towards the end of the year, probably Morocco will be opening. I actually have a trip planned for Morocco in September, so I hope it's open. Let's see. I mean, this area, of course, like the Emirates, and I'm sure that Abu Dhabi will be opening sooner than later, I hope, so that people can really resume doing all the whole Emirates. But yeah, I mean, right now, like you can do all of the Emirates except for Abu Dhabi, Jordan, Egypt, and then we'll see what opens up later.
And when we say open, they're open. It's just they require a quarantine, right? Or are they totally? Yeah.
It varies. Like some of them are not open, but most of them it's open, but you have like a mandatory 10-day or 14-day quarantine, which really, I mean, unless you.
It's like unless you're working there, you're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good to know. So Jordan and Egypt, like I said, we have a group of people wanting to go to Egypt next month. So that's super exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're about to wrap up. Is there anything else that y'all would like to add about this area of the world that I'm just missing that I haven't asked? And again, let me remind you, please put in your questions in the question box so that we can get to them here shortly. But if there's nothing left, then we'll open it up to some questions. Do we have any in there?
I don't see any questions yet. I'll just add, it's clear just by listening to this, like all of the options that there are for properties throughout the UAE, and that, it can be really overwhelming when you start thinking about a trip there and where you might want to stay. And I just have to say, like every time that I have gone to Nicole and asked for her advice. Even though I've been before, I still am overwhelmed by the number of options and the number of great, amazing options there are for places to stay. And it just blows my mind. Like every single time that I ask her, what do you think about this place or that, or this is what we have in mind for this trip. This is the type of trip that we want to have. And just like her depth of knowledge and ability to steer me in the right direction, like the Petty Al Bait, and what an amazing experience that was. And it was perfect for, what we wanted to experience. So it's just, I think it really says a lot to your knowledge, Nicole, and just how well you know this region and are able to steer all of us into the right direction for our personal preferences. So
thank you.
I do love it when I'm like, I'm going here, and someone says, oh, you have to go here. And I feel like, Nicole, you do that every itinerary. You're like, you have to go here, because it's such a good way to feel about your itinerary. So if we have no more questions, let me throw this up there. This is our contact screen. If you are ready to plan a trip, you can go to our website. You can email Nicole, you can call us, of course. We'd love to talk to people on the phone. I feel like we don't get that as much anymore in this day and age. So please call us, even if you just want to talk about the presentation. We'd love that. Next time, okay, so this is kind of a news.
I have one question come through. I'm just going to interrupt real quickly for a question. Just a quick recap for the requirement for US citizens to travel to Dubai.
Yeah, you just have to have a negative PCR test 72 hours prior. So that is obviously easy to get here in the US. You just have to time it right. There's a lot of, I know Tiffany used a service that they send you the test at your house and you do it, and then you send it back, so they can actually guarantee the time frame that you get it back in, which is really helpful.
Yeah, if you live in a place where testing does not turn around quickly, then yeah, we definitely recommend the COVID consultants. They're very good. A few of us have used them. So.
Well, and Tiffany, speak a little bit just so people kind of can understand what that looks like. What a couple of days before leading up to your trip looked like in terms of COVID testing.
Yeah, so I was, I think, the first to travel our group of people that have traveled recently internationally from Ker Downey. And so, you know, I felt a little bit like the guinea pig, but I decided to kind of try out a bunch of different options just to see what it was like. So here in Houston, where I live, testing is free, but there's not a guarantee on turnaround time. So I did actually get tested. I went to 2 different places. I tried like one of the city sites that we have, and then also just going through like a local drugstore. And both of them, I got my results back in time, thankfully. But there are services like the COVID consultants where they send you a kit. They send you, it's already pre-labeled. They tell you what day you need to do your test and send it to them based on what day you're traveling. Now that most countries, the requirement's 72 hours prior to departure. So based on that, they give you the day, you go drop it off at a FedEx center, and then they give you results, you know, within 24 hours. So it's definitely a good guaranteed way to get results back if you don't have something locally that can offer that. But yeah, it was very, I mean, like I said, it worked for me locally as well. But if things were running slower in Houston, you know, it would be better to rely on one of those services that can guarantee the timing.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions? That was a good one. I feel like that question is going to needs to be answered every time we come on here because things just change so easily. The good news is that, you know, as we get further along in this, we're seeing more and more countries open, and more countries just do the, you know, have the right protocol to keep travelers feel safe. So yeah, it's getting better and better as we move further into this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to end by saying next month we will be talking about South Africa, and I'm really, really excited about it because Nikki just returned there. Obviously, MJ went there at the end of December, so we've had 2 people go there. Nikki went with a huge group of people, and she just loved it and had an amazing time, and I really can't wait for y'all to hear about the experiences that she did and had on her time there. And it is also a place that you can travel to right now. So be on the lookout for that. That's probably going to be in the first part of March. And then that will be the end of our webinar series for now. We'll start another one, you know, coming up, but please feel free to join in. We'd love to have you, love your questions. Again, if you have any questions about traveling, what it's like to travel now, you can reach out to Nicole directly or me or Tiffany or on our website as well. We're excited as travel gets going again, more and more countries are opening. So please contact us if you have any questions. We thank you for joining us today. See you later. And thank you for sticking with us through the difficulties at the beginning.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Bye.